like Tom Hiddleston as screen presence. I think he's great.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy Loki. I think his I think some of the better moments are where he's not trying to be. I think where he falls down to me a little bit is like in the bits where he has to be the villain of the film, rather
like
than
his monologue with Scarlett Johansson, where he's like baiting.
And I just don't think that. I don't see Hiddleston in that way. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't like. I always see Hiddleston as a bit sort of like. There's a reason why I think people say he'd be a good Bond, because he's kind of like this. He's kind of quite suave, and he's kind of and like when he's getting angry or trying to be threatening, he kind of loses me a bit. And I wrote down here that one of Hiddleston's best scenes is when Thor comes and grabs him, and they're in the park together, and it's before Downey Jr. comes down and says, "Oh, are you enjoying your Shakespeare in the park?" But they're having that Shakespearean sort of tussle with each other. And I think Hiddleston's great in that scene, because I think naturally he's, quite good at the sort of Shakespeareaness anyway. It kind of fits with who he is as an actor. But also I think in that moment, I saw him more as without wanting to get too grand about it, but like for me, he is a bit, and I think it's inbuilt into like who he is in the relationships with his brother and his father and stuff. Like for me, he is more of a kind of Shakespearean villain than like a superhero, supervillain kind of thing. Because I think in that moment with him and Hemsworth together in the park, it's like you see him as like this kind of scorned brother who doesn't fit in with like the family, or doesn't see himself as part of that world.
He's like your father.
And I think he's so good in that bit. And then where he falls down for me a little bit is when he has to do the supervillain stuff,
all the muhaha stuff,
which I just don't think is. And I agree with you on the sort of like the smaller moments of that, like you say in Stuttgart, where he kind of looks out the crowd and he's kind of like, this is fucking sick. Like that stuff, I think he nails. Right? There's
another moment where he, when he comes out of the exhibit or whatever, and he's like, kneel and like that replicates himself in crowd control. God, how I'd love to be able to do that as an AD. I'm just saying. But like, that moment. And he starts his like villain speech again, and it's not very engaging. And then the old man stands up and he's like, we had a man like you, who told us to get down or to whatever. I can't remember exactly what the line was. It was great. But like that smallness, that quietness invited in the same from Tom Hiddleston. And he kind of replied in kind in the same tone. And like, I cry at that scene every time I watch it because of what it means. They're talking about Nazi Germany, and they're talking about how people were scared and they just went along with it. And they didn't fight it kind of thing. And then that informs the power, as it were. And like it's a Marvel film, but like I still find that incredibly moving and a very powerful moment.